What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Do Whatever podcast. Coming to you currently from my garage gym. So I'm about to lift weights, which is, oddly enough, as much as I may be thought of as somebody in the strength world, which is laughable if you know me or have ever seen me lift, but at least I'm known for being associated with it, that honestly I have not been training or lifting that much. So a lot of that has to do with time constraints, a lot of that has to do with priorities, a lot of other stuff. So I kind of figured the best way to do this, because I want a podcast, I enjoy this a lot, I like this outlet. I like the idea of sharing, but at the same time, creating separate times for that and separate times for lifting just gets prohibitive. I am a father of 3, and that is a very important job for me. And I also own and operate HVIII Brand Goods along with Matt Vincent. That's a full-time job at this point. I also operate a couple of other businesses. So it's, time is very, very valuable. So I figured, why not combine these two things and experiment a little bit? Let's give something a shot. Let's have a podcast happen while I'm lifting out here, and we'll hopefully get something out of it. I mean, if nothing else, I'll get a lift out of it, right? I actually did record an episode of this podcast a couple weeks ago, the inaugural episode, whatever you want to call it. And I trashed it. I didn't trash it. I just don't want to publish it. I thought it was interesting and insightful. I thought it had, of course I was talking, so I thought I was super interesting and insightful, but it was just kind of, it was a little sad, and it was a little, I guess, not drawn out. I don't know. It just wasn't the kind of thing that I think would engage people. It might be interesting for one episode, but I don't think it sets up an engaging story. I was talking a lot about my dad dying and all the changes in my life happening, but blah, blah, blah. We'll get to that stuff, but let's get to lifting right now. There's not so much time. Kids are coming home right now. I'm in my garage gym. Garage door's open. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. My son is coming home from school. My daughter's home from preschool, and the neighbors all around. They're going to see me talking to myself like a crazy person. But got my shoes on, got my knee sleeves on, so let's start warming up. It's going to be squats to start with. And look, this is super basic stuff coming back to. I'll talk more about it, but this is 3 sets of 5, man. Let's get under the rack right now.
Give up now, leave me be. It's a crime of the century. And if you give up what you know.
First set of 5 with an empty bar there. You can probably hear all the kid noise and everything in the background. Somebody rolling home on wheeled vehicles, screaming, generally enjoying their lives, but not me. I'm squatting. So yeah, the absence, we'll find out as I start putting the weights on here. We'll find out what kind of impact the absence in the weight room has had. It's the sound of 45s, y'all. So as it is right now, I'm a little over a year removed from winning a national title in the Highland Games, winning the lightweight national championship in the Highland Games. I went back for nationals this year, took 6th because I have not really trained or thrown anywhere near the level, sometimes at all, but nowhere near the level it would take to be a champion. And I knew that. There's a lot of things contributing to that, but whether it's for throwing, whether it's for general health, whether it's for whatever the next goal is, there's no excuse to not be building myself, to not be getting under the bar, and at least putting myself under that, as Matt calls it, imagined or manufactured stress. So that being said, let's get under the bar again. All right, I feel pretty warmed up. I stretched before I turned the microphone on, so it counts, right? Oh, there's Evan, my oldest son, right now. What's up, buddy?
Hi.
How was school? You got homework today?
Just the math flashback.
Math flashback? Flash math bag. Sounds like a spooner rhythm.
Matthew said he finally gets to meet his real teacher today.
Oh yeah, she'd been out, right?
She had a baby.
Yeah, well good for her.
Maybe Charlotte.
Charlotte? What's her last name?
Probably Scarl.
Scarl?
Scarl, because that's the teacher's name.
Oh, is that
Scarl is the teacher's name.
Huh.
Scarl.
I don't think I know her. Well, cool. Glad she's back. How was your day overall?
Good deeds.
Yeah? All right, I'll be inside a little bit, buddy. I'm lifting right now. No, mommy's awake, buddy. So that was Evan, the one and only. He's my 8-year-old in 3rd grade. Just got home. Oh, I put the wrong weights on. I was just distracted by his adorable face. I know he's 8 now, so I'm not supposed to be calling him things like adorable and cute and beautiful, but I don't care, he's my kid. Call what I want. He doesn't get a say in that. I get to call him a cutie pie if I want to, no matter how weird his friends think that is. Yeah, the reason Evan was asking about his mommy sleeping is wife has a demanding job where she alternates days and nights throughout the month. So, you know, it's one of those kind of jobs. So there are going to be days where she is sleeping while we are home. Because if she didn't, she would not be a happy person. Insight into us. And, you know, the reason, going back to the lifting, the real important part, forget about other people, right? Real important part here is that I really am going back to basics. I mean, 3 sets of 5, very low weight, adding 5 pounds, linear progression is because I really do need to start over. Have not been healthy, have not had a healthy lower back, blah, blah, blah. Everybody that lifts ever has a bad lower back, so whatever. But just have not been healthy enough to consistently get under the kind of weight that I want, so I'm gonna start back and build a little better foundation. I'm so going back to basics, I'm squatting in chucks right now, y'all. I got like $200 lifting shoes sitting around here and I'm squatting in chucks. Because what does Louis says? Don't be the guy with $200 shoes and a 10-cent squat. Well, that's me right now. So let's get into chucks. All right, here we go. First work set. Oh my God. Oh my God. That should be okay. It did feel that heavy. My knees are sore automatically from that. That's just being 38, I think. We'll sip from the shaker cup. Filled with BPN Intraflight. It's my favorite supplement ever. I've said many a time, I'm not a huge supplement guy. Not a huge guy in anything really, but not a huge supplement guy. But this one is fantastic. Man, mostly because it's got BCAAs in it, and it tastes good, man. The lemonade flavor, it tastes good. And like, it's just nice to have a nice flavored drink during a workout. Yeah. Does that make me uncultured? Maybe. You're uncultured. But yeah, BPN subs, Bear Performance Nutrition. Nick Bear's a great dude. So is Preston, his brother. They operate a gym here in Round Rock. Not a gym anymore, sorry. They operate their supplement company here in Round Rock. And they happen to have a gym inside because they took up so much space because they were getting so successful that they had to close their gym and kind of push it off to like 25% of what it originally was. But hey, that's a good problem to have. Hey Mike, shut up and squat. Okay. I mean, it doesn't feel light. This used to feel light. This does not feel light now. I hope that my microphone is good enough to catch all the crackling and popping in my body as I go down with this baby weight. It's something. I mean, I haven't been completely inactive. I just really haven't lifted that much. I spend plenty of time moving as best I can. The kids keep me moving. I hit the heavy bag a lot, falling back in love with Muay Thai. Would like to get into a little more grappling, but man, that seems so hard. And, you know, I shoot the bow, shoot my guns. Like, that doesn't really count as active, I guess. Shooting the bow is active enough. But a lot of hunting is just sitting in a blind, sitting in a stand waiting. But, you know, I have time to think, I guess, when I do that. Ugh, gross. Being your own thoughts. Anybody with kids, you are aware of what a wonderful blessing and also at the same time a curse having time to be in your own thoughts is. Because you rarely get time to be in your own thoughts, especially when you got 3 kids and a busy schedule and a busy spouse. But when you do, you don't always get to think about what you want to think about, that's the curse part of it. Like, I just end up when I have time to be in my thoughts, my own thoughts, I think about all the stuff that I could or should be doing, or guilt myself into, oh, you should get to work on your book or whatever. Oh, I'll talk about that in a second. But hey, why don't you shut up and squat, man? Man, getting to depth is harder than it was a few months ago. I say a few months ago, God, I haven't seriously squatted anything but a kettlebell or maybe 135 since spring. So you see, that's why my lifts are bad. I got all my excuses built in. Oh, I got a bad back and, you know, I'm busy and I'm sad. Yeah, that's cool, man. But hey, that's life. I'm not a professional athlete, not a professional lifter, so I get the luxury of saying, I don't want to do that right now. But it's something I enjoy, something I love. So yeah, the book worth talking about. That was actually my last set of squats. I went fast. Hey, these kind of newbie progressions are nice. I don't have to be in here all day squatting. So the book, probably by the time this comes out, I will have my first training manual published. Yeah, that's cool. The guy that's talking about not lifting is putting on a training manual. Yeah. Well, luckily, it's a training manual about throwing. And that's something I do know a tiny bit about. And more importantly, I've spent a lot of time with a lot of really great throwers in the Scottish Highland Games who do know what they're talking about and have taught me how to grow from a newbie to an intermediate to an above intermediate, I guess. This plate's off there. So yeah, by the time you hear this, it'll be Thursday, November, God, what is today? What is the date? Can somebody email me after this and tell me what day today is? It really seems like an efficient way to do it. So on November 9th, Thursday, November 9th, I'll be releasing this book. It's called Heavy Light, Periodized Throwing for the Scottish Highland Games, for the Highland Games. Hey, learn your own book title, Mike. Yeah, Heavy Light, Periodized Throwing for the Highland Games. Super proud, I won't even lie, I'm very proud to have finished the book. Get together. To have finished the book and be putting it out. It's ebook first, and then there's going to be a hard copy coming later. Do the hard copy in like 6 by 9 inch kind of paperback, because I like to think this is the kind of book that's going to travel with people and go out to the throwing field with them. All right, let's set up for, I think I'm doing a bench next. Yeah, I'm telling you, this is newbie time, man. We're hitting all the big compound movements all at once. Yeah, bench press. 5 sets, 3 reps. Yes, I get to lay down. Oh, this is so good. That's me moving the microphone around. You're wondering where all the noise is. But yeah, so the book is, it's basically block periodized throwing. It's taking a program like Matt's training lab, strength lab, any block periodized thing where you're kind of building across a season, general outline being off-season higher volume, and then tapering volume through the preseason, tapering further, and then building into when you're in the in season, working on keeping and maintaining max strength, top end strength, and developing speed and power for the throws. So yeah, block periodization like that. And then there's peak season, all that kind of good stuff. But the heavy light book does all that with throwing. Now it's complementary to what you're doing in the weight room. It's built on the same principles. Same principles is weird to say. It's built concerning the same principles that are in the weight room. Thinking about those, that what you're doing in the weight room should be, oh, here it comes, synergistic with what you're doing in the weight room to be synergistic with what's happening on the throwing field. So the idea is that it takes you through an entire calendar year, an entire season and off season of how to program your throwing. The biggest question that I get from running the training lab group that Matt and I ran for 2 years, and the biggest thing from new people is, like, how much should I be throwing and what event should I throw? Like, that's really 2 questions, so I cheated. But how much should I be throwing? And the answer used to be like, as much as you can, man, whenever you can. But at a certain point, that just doesn't pan out anymore. That doesn't work. You got to have structure. It's just like any other sport. There has to be structure to the practice. You have to do drills. You have to do variations on things. You have to have intensity control on your full throws, and you have to have rep counts. There has to be structure. You can't just go out and do it as hard as you can for as long as you can. That's diminishing returns very quickly, especially in throwing, because there's so many technical concerns. So what this does, it makes the most of your practice time in each block. It complements what's happening in the weight room, where you are in the season. And it helps you to structure and gives you a lot of examples on how to structure a practice session or a week of practice sessions or an entire block of practice sessions, how you do that to get synergy, how you do that to get the most out of your time when you're out there practicing. Hey Mike, why don't you lift? Let's get the bar down to the right level to do that. The best part about this so far is that I'm in my garage talking to myself like a crazy person. Maybe that's just how it's always meant to be. And I'm just finally coming into my own here. Who knows? But yeah, very excited about that coming out. Really excited about getting the hard copy working, having the paperback. I think that'll be very fun to see what kind of impact that can have on new throwers and people that are trying to get to that next level. That was the big thing with me. I got to the next level in throwing when I started taking practices seriously. When I started treating throwing practice like I treated every other sport I'd ever played. When I started treating practices as, here's what you're going to work on today, not just, hey, going out to throw. That's when I changed levels, so to speak. That's when things start to get better. Hey, Mike, why don't you lift? Warm up on bench here. Best thing about having a poverty bench is it doesn't take that long to work up to your working sets, you know? You just kind of roll into them. And I have no shame right now about the amount of weight I'm using. I gave up trying to be the strongest guy a long time ago. Like after week 2 of lifting, I think I gave up on that. Because I know what's out there. I know the kind of talent and the kind of hard work that's out there. And I ain't got either. Well, I may have some hard work in me, but I don't know if applying it to the bench and the other 2 lifts, power lifts, are the best way to spend it. But I certainly don't have a talent with the barbell. So I'll stop trying to be the strongest guy is my point. But the barbell is a means to an end in the way that I train. Which hasn't been for anything over the past half year or so. You could just say 6 months. So yeah, the barbell's a means to an end for me. It's a way to build and maintain strength so I can be good at the stuff I want to do. Like right now, that's just living. I do have another Highland Games in January. Hey Mike, why don't you lift and then talk about it? That sounds real heavy, right? So yeah, I do have a Highland Games in January. I've been lucky enough to be selected for the North-South Games in Central Florida Highland Games, which is a real big honor. My best friend, Aaron George, who's my partner in crime in Throw Bros, the company Throw Bros. And we should talk about that. He won the captain position for the South team. So you pick 5 throws from the South, the North captain picks 5 throws from the North, and they go to battle with Central Florida in January, middle of the off season. Just kind of a ceremonial fun thing, but pretty good competition. So I've got that one coming up. It's kind of the reason I want to start rolling back into training. And you know, I don't have any illusions that I'm going to be my strongest when I get there, but I think I can legitimately build some speed. I think I can legitimately build some comfort in the throws and tweak my off-season programming from heavy light and kind of push that towards a little mini peak, maybe peak season like 2 or 3 weeks worth. But yeah, so that's the stuff. The point is that I'm training for that, but I'm just training to be generally a healthy, capable person. I think strong and capable are 2 really important words. And like right now, I'm really into hunting, and I'm really into hitting the heavy bag and training martial arts again. So being strong enough and being able to get in good positions for those, that'd be nice. Because getting hurt sucks. All right, let's get to the working weight. I still got my knee sleeves on the bench. Didn't realize that. At least I look cool. Here we go. Woo. Yeah, that felt pretty light. Actually, similar weight to what I was squatting, and it was way lighter than I did with the squats. That's got to be a good sign, right? Oh, just sip the juice here. Yeah, man. VPN Interflight. Get that stuff. It's so good. It's like Crystal Light for meatheads. It's basically just a way to have flavored water. And you can explain that you want flavored water because it's got branched chain in it. So, whew, good stuff. What else is going on with me? That's what that long pause was. I was like, what thing is there to talk about going on with me? I did talk about hunting, and that's always that's funny, that's always the first thing that bubbles up to the front of my mind right now, because man, I'm just obsessed. I did not hunt growing up. I didn't hunt and fish growing up. I fished when I was younger. I'm actually I work on a podcast. I'm a co-host of a podcast called Camo and Hooks. You can find that on iTunes and Google Play. It's also on YouTube, Camo and Hooks. But hey, I'm a co-host there, and that's me and a buddy who we didn't really hunt a lot growing up, even though we lived in Texas and we're around it, and we're just taking it up in our 30s. And we decided to jump headlong into bow hunting and fishing and the entire culture. So it's just kind of our travels through that, our learning experience. This was a pretty fun podcast. I really enjoyed doing that one. It's really just a chance to kind of hang out with my buddy Luke, the co-host, and just kind of shoot the shit about our new hobby, our newfound hobby, and find a way to be productive about it. So, but yeah, that's the first thing that bubbles up to my mind. Hey, Mike, why don't you lift? Oh man, my bench form, my technique is so loosey-goosey. I feel so just soft as puppy poo in the back when I'm trying to brace. But yeah, that's why hunting always comes up first right now. And I am having just a grand old time right now because I have been unsuccessful throughout bow season so far. I have seen deer, but I've had no good shots on them. The only one that I had a good shot on, I wasn't allowed to shoot out of that place. I can only get does at the place where I was. But it's turning into that thing, like the Instagram thing, like it is with, I don't know, with my wife and I talk about it. It's like with supermoms, like their awesome Pinterest boards or their Instagram projects with their kids making memorable picture boards. I don't know. And then it's also like the fitness, or the strength of fitness world where everybody's lifting more than you and they look better when you scroll through Instagram. Now for me, that's happening with hunting. It's happening now. Now that we're getting into the season, everybody's posing with a buck. Everybody's posing with something that they shot. Like guys out west are posing with elk. Everybody's like, just happy to get this, or like, hey, my 12-year-old got his first buck, and I'm still waiting to take a shot at something. It's fucking infuriating. Hey, why don't you lift? am I making old-timey strongman sounds? I guess because I know there's a microphone. Is that already it on bench? Was that 3 sets at that working weight? Oh God, this is a problem with not shutting your mouth in between sets. No mindfulness. If only I could find a podcast or a book about mindfulness somewhere. I wonder if any of that exists. All right, let's do one more set of bench just to be sure. I honestly do not remember. It's light enough to where I don't think it'll kill me. Felt like a 4th set. What's up, buddy? Neighbor's kids just...
Can Nina play?
I think she can. Go to the front door and see. It's a neighbor's kid. Coming to see if my daughter can play. He's a handsome one. Better watch himself. It's good that he saw me lifting though. Burn that image in his brain. All right, that's enough for bench. I guess I got a deadlift now? God, all 3 lifts in one day. What kind of savages do this? Well, apparently I've only got 1 set of these. I'm doing that old, dang old starting strength, which I never actually did when I was starting because I got all like uppity and thought I could handle cool programs and probably jumped into those too soon. I think at a 5-3-1 though, so I probably got stronger doing that than anything else. And everything else has been a slow, steady decline. All right, let's get another barbell out because I'm not taking that one out of the rack. Oh. This one, this old deadlift, was my favorite. It was my strongest lift, all things considered, for a while, but with the lower back, not exactly, not the friendliest feeling. It's my podcast, kid. Quiet over there. She couldn't play yet? Okay, she'll probably be out soon. She might be helping us cook dinner. Yeah, good talk. Nice talking to me. As bro scientists taught us, deadlifting starts at 135. That is 0. And we're starting there. Oh man, there's actually cobwebs and spider eggs on my bumper plates. That is, if that's not the perfect sign of what this year has been like for me, I don't know what is. Cobwebs on the bumper plates. Yeah, I'm deadlifting with bumpers. I made this platform in here. I don't want to have any risk of messing it up. It cost me a whole $75, I'm sure. So that's good attitude, Mike. All right, what am I going to work up to here? I'm pretty certain that this back injury that I'm still nursing is from like 3 years ago almost now. When it was in a competition. It was something called the True Athlete Games in Austin here. There's a gym called Austin Simply Fit, and they have the True Athlete Games, which is kind of like an expanded NFL combine with powerlifting and some other fitness stuff, like a row and everything built in. It's just one of those, fun fitness competitions. Austin has a lot of those. But this one was cool because it has some power lifts in it. But I think how you like that? How you like me throwing a whilst? I must have been reading a lot of British news lately, but whilst pulling 505, I think I just got the best way I can describe it is I started pushing my hips forward too soon, started squeezing my butt too soon, and I just got a slip and a pop. And from then on, from that spot, it's never been real happy. I haven't been able to really nail down a diagnosis because I'm not a smart person that would go to a doctor to do that, but at some point I'm going to have to. It just doesn't go away no matter how much I rehab it. Hey Mike, why don't you lift? Let's see how these feel. Hey, the knee sleeves are still on, so I can pull those down and protect my shins. Man, this is like I'm discovering lifting all over again. This is cool. All right, here we go. Loudest lift. You'll double overhand hook grip on this. Why not? occurred to me in the middle of that I've been just talking about lifting the whole time. How boring is that? Lifting is lifting. It's just a thing. But yeah, HVIII Brand Goods has been taking up a lot of my time this week, and rightly so. Hey, let's just do that real quick. So, this podcast is sponsored by HVIII Brand Goods. No surprise. It's my company. It's mine and Matt's company. So, no surprise it's a sponsor, but HVIII Brand Goods, sponsor of this podcast, this episode, and every episode going into the future. And that's my my toddler trying to open the garage door and come out here. I can tell. She's like, it's like a horror movie. It's like when the Raptors were trying to open doors in Jurassic Park. She's going to figure it out too, just like they did. So, yeah, sponsored by HVIII Brand Goods, right? And this week we have something coming out called the Ghost Line. I'm really, really stoked about this. Matt, this is all Matt's baby, like 100%. Like he took existing designs, tweaked them, and did colorways with them where it creates like a very clean, like light contrast shirts and hoodies, which they just look awesome. Like so it's going to be a whole collection of shirts and hoodies. We're going to put the shirts in a bundle too, so that's something to grab while supplies last. Because once one thing goes out of stock in a certain size, you can't bundle that anymore. So that's the joys of bundling stuff. So you lose one, you lose the entire bundle. So jump on the bundle quick if you're going to do the shirts. That's really fun. And like I said, my book, Heavy Light, Period Ice Throwing for the Highland Games, is going to be coming out along with that bundle. I hope it sells 1 million copies. If not 1 million, at least maybe everybody in the Highland Games, which I'm sure is, somewhere near 1 million. Hey Mike, why don't you load some more plates on? Oh! Yeah, the worst part of having a back injury and deadlifts is getting the plates on and off. I have like a little makeshift jack that I made out of a bunch of just galvanized pipe, but yeah, why would I use that? It'd be too smart. Yeah, we'll see. I might just do 3 sets here. I mean, I obviously know better than people that write programs, right? Because I'm a great lifter. Oh. Whew. Neat. Man, I did not intend for any current events to make their way into this, but I can't stop. Every time I start, there's a quiet time where I'm not talking and I'm lifting, I start thinking about that shooting that in Texas that just happened in San Antonio. I don't even know the total death count on that. If I had my phone nearby, I'd look it up, but it's like 10 people dead. Some whack job yet again with an AR-15. Bust in and just started lighting people up. So look, I'm a gun owner. I enjoy a good gun. I enjoy several guns. Several guns. That might be an episode title right there. And I'm all for responsible ownership. Went to the range last week. Probably gonna go again this week. I don't go every week. It's just I'm kind of in that mood right now. But I mean, come on, guys. There's got to be something. And I understand there's a million arguments, and I'd like to pretend that I'm intelligent enough to hold my own in all of them, but the primary one that you see is that, gun control, any kind of gun control is not going to stop gun crime. There's already so many guns on the streets, and that's true. The gun penetration is so high in the United States and such a ingrained part of our culture that you're not going to just gun control it out of existence. Just not going to happen. But the best argument from people a lot smarter than me, but my perspective has remained the same, that I have to look at what I have to do to drive a car. Look at how much registration I have to go through, how many steps I have to go through for registration. I have to carry insurance in it. I have to have a license. And I have a license to carry my gun. It's a concealed handgun license. And I don't see why anybody that buys a weapon designed for killing doesn't have to take that course. I don't understand that. Oh, yeah, maybe it's cost prohibitive. Okay, maybe you're not in a position where you need to have a handgun then, if that's cost prohibitive. I don't see the sense in it, guys. I'm sorry. Maybe that's too common sense for this day and age to think that's true. But I just don't see why we can't have a reasonable hurdle to entry for gun ownership while still making them completely legal to own and protecting your Second Amendment right. I don't understand how that's so controversial. And yes, that won't stop everything immediately, but give it 20 or 30 or 40 years, and then you'll see less gun penetration as they leave or as they get lost or confiscated. It just happens over time that if it's harder to get a gun, there's less entering, there's probably going to be more leaving over time. So I don't know, like it just, there's some common sense alternatives, but look, Washington's a much more complicated place than probably it needs to be. But it's going to be like a lot of other things. I think you're going to start to see municipalities, you're going to see cities and states start to take matters into their own hands with gun laws. But until there's some sort of federal standard, hey Mike, why don't you lift? Hold that thought for me, guys, federal standard. But until there's some sort of federal standard, the state stuff can be skirted. A lot of people talk about the Chicago thing because Chicago has very, very strict gun laws, but they have one of the highest murder rates. And what people miss when they say that little soundbite is that a huge number, the majority of those weapons involved in violent crimes come from places like Indiana, Wisconsin, states around them that have extremely lax gun laws. Indiana especially always gets pointed out because under Mike Pence, things got a lot looser. So yeah, it's great that they have strict gun laws in Chicago, but if you have neighboring states that are a drive away, and in some places in the country you can drive like an hour and skirt gun laws and bring it back over state lines, you're not going to see a big change. So I think some sort of federal standard is okay. I think the Second Amendment is a beautiful amendment. I think it's a wonderful, unique piece of our legislature, of our Constitution, that, you know, creates an armed citizenry, and there's a lot of benefits to that, but come on, guys. I mean, it's not infallible. Nothing in that thing is. That's why they're amendments. It's right there in the name of that thing. I mean, you know, we had to amend the Constitution to make sure there was no slavery, that people weren't 3/5 of a person. So I don't see, but look, it's not about that. It's not about common sense stuff. We all know that. Any intelligent person knows that it's not just about that. There are politics involved. There's lobby money involved. There's winning the hearts and minds of bases involved. And things like reactionary stuff like, you know, the government's coming to take your guns, or on the other side, that all guns we should talk about confiscation. That stuff is silly. That stuff is pandering, and that's stuff to make yourself feel better, make yourself feel righteous. And that doesn't get anybody anywhere, but that's what's happening. All right, I think I need to hit some accessory work. That's not going to be exciting for anybody to sit through. But there's a little cotton mouth there while I was doing that. I mean, when you do all 3 major lifts in a day, what accessory work do you do? The answer is obviously curls. So let's do that. What am I going to curl? I should be curling what I just deadlifted, right? What's up, Matthew? You looking for Evan?
Yeah.
He's inside, probably working on his homework, but check to see if he's available. That's my son's friend. They are baseball teammates. They will be at batting practice together later tonight. Probably like an hour and a half from now, they'll be taking off for there. But it's apparently imperative that they play together now. Whatever, they're 8. I don't think an 8-year-old should be stuck inside doing excessive amounts of homework when there's a world out there. Thankfully, this school we have, they really do get it. The homework is really, it's straightforward, and they're not going to be stuck doing it for half an hour or more. Like it's something they can really knock out and get done very quickly. Like it hits the major concepts and they get it done. So I like that. The older I get, the more I don't believe in the idea of elementary school homework, or maybe even homework in general. Like, look, the kid was at school for 7 hours. Damn UPS truck. UPS truck is only cool when it's bringing something to me. Yeah, he's there for 7 hours and he's 8. Like, you should be getting it in there. Homework just seems like it's an old school holdover to me. Sorry. Any teachers out there want to disagree with me, but that's less stuff for you to grade, right? But yeah, I'm happy that my kids, we put a big emphasis on get out and play. I know that's passe and every parent says that, but look, we mean it. Like, we don't allow TV and video games during the week at all. 0. And that wasn't like, we didn't do that out of some sense of like self-righteous parenting eliteness. That's fine. I just used that word because I saw a box over there that had the word elite on it. So I just absorbed that word from the environment. But we didn't do it out of anything like that. We did it because when our oldest was 3 and we didn't have the other 2, we let him watch TV when he would come home from daycare. Like, we would, all that kind of stuff. Like, and he would just be a monster. It'd be impossible to transition away. So we just, for the sake of our own sanity, we said, okay, look, only weekends. And from that point forward, it has worked. It's beautiful. He has enough literacy to understand how TV works and see a pop culture thing here and there. He watches sports with me. He even watches mixed martial arts with me. Ooh, controversial. You're letting your kid watch violent stuff. Yeah, and we talk about hunting, and he, has watched things about processing animals with me. So, yeah, that's real life stuff. That's not cartoon violence or TV violence. That's the actual world. Like punching, kicking, wrestling. Like, that may happen to you someday, living in the world of boys and men. Probably going to happen to you at some point. That's what it really looks like when somebody gets punched in the face. Or, hey, this is where your food comes from. You have to cut a deer open. You have to peel the skin off a squirrel. You got to pull the guts out of things. That's where your food comes from. I don't have a problem with them knowing that. To me, yeah, that's violence and, that's gore, but that's the reality of it. That's the real part of it. That's not some made up, that's not made up cartoon TV movie violence. That's not, hyper violence, whatever you want to call it. Oh man, let's make this a parenting podcast. All right, I'm going to hit some curls. But like I said, this podcast is brought to you by HVIII Brand Goods. It's also brought to you by Throw Bros. Throw Bros is the only online store for Highland Games athletes. So gear up, get throwing, head to throwbros.com. We are actually running a bunch of Throwvember promotions on Instagram right now. So if you go look through #Throwvember, you will see that we're running a contest every week where we're giving stuff away. And all you got to do is check the account, the Instagram account for Throw Bros, and you will find what the rules are for that week's contest. You can just shoot a quick video. We make them easy, and there's not a huge amount of setup in them. You can do them in your throwing practice if you're a Highland Games athlete. Even if you're not, figure something out and throw something. You'll probably just win something for being unique and not being a dork like the rest of us that wears a kilt. So check that out, and then get on that Instagram because the entries are really, really entertaining so far. Like, I did one myself, and I feel like I'm going to have to up the ante every week now to try to keep up with the people that are doing those. So, all right, I'm going to hit the curls now. So you guys just imagine me doing the curls from this point on, and I'll see you next time.
It's